At 80 kilometres south of Karratha and the existing Karratha Airport in the Pilbara, the Chinese Communist government-owned companies, under the cloak and secrecy, with the help of the Labor Party, built and constructed a private jet airport.
The Chinese government has constructed a jet airport located close to the coast, approximately 30 kilometres from the huge port of Cape Preston, where over 16 million tonnes of products are exported to China each year. The airport runway is similar to the Royal Australian Air Force runways in Queensland and the Northern Territory, where Australia's fighter aircraft are based. Australia could not repel military aircraft if they landed from carriers offshore. A superior military air force could, in effect, control all of Western Australia's resources in the Pilbara and the Northwest Shelf gas reserves.
Labor Party whip Yang, born in China, was affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party groups dedicated to extending the Chinese Communist government's influence in Australia. Contrary to the Australian and New Zealand government policy, Chinese government interest in the South China Sea, Yang travelled with Labor Premier of Western Australia to meet the Chinese government in Beijing. Yang recruited over 500 members to the Labor Party. Australians must now be concerned that our politicians are acting in the interest of Chinese Communist government and not Australia.
The port of Cape Preston in the Pilbara in Western Australia is a deep water port. It has the facilities necessary to support and sustain large-scale naval operations in the Indian Ocean. The power generation and water desalination plant, together with the bunker fuel capacity, provide the necessary logistics to support a large ground force equipped with heavy equipment. Chinese state-owned companies have exercised control over all these facilities, contrary to the security of Australia. Chinese government control parties exercising control raises serious security concerns. If ever there was a breakdown of diplomatic relations with China and hostilities were to commence, Chinese control of Cape Preston port would mean Western Australia and its resources would be completely vulnerable. It is beyond belief that the Chinese government-owned companies control and occupy an airstrip that are able to take jet aircraft for their exclusive use at Cape Preston.
The Western Australian Premier and the Labor Party want to use the Western Australian Parliament to change the law, to give away Australian rights to a foreign power. We can't trust Labor with our children's future. The Chinese Communist government won't allow Australians or any Australian company to control ports or airports in China. Why should Bill Shorten or Mark McGowan allow them to control our strategic assets? Why should they undermine the rule of law and democracy? Our politicians need to act responsibly and protect the future of all Australians. Enough is enough. All Australians must stop the clandestine takeover of our country. Vote 1 United Australia Party.
Authorised by James McDonald for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.